You know, Labor was so shocked when it lost the election back in May. It came as such a surprise that the then Labor leader, Bill Shorten, according to very credible reports, had to cancel the removal list he'd ordered in to shift to the Prime Minister's lodge. But apart from that, I don't see much sign of Labor reversing anything else. Well, not under new leader Anthony Albanese, apart from, say, its outright opposition to coal, or the opposition it let people think it had. Now, meanwhile, Prime Minister Scott Morrison is leading a much more united Liberal Party than we've seen in 6 years and has passed the tax cuts. And the result, I think, is shown in the first news poll since the election, which has given the Liberals their biggest lead over Labor for 3 years, 53% to Labor's 47%. That's very big. Joining me is the panel, former Victorian Liberal President Michael Kroger and former Labor Senator Steve Conroy. Steve, Labor does seem to have some problem in finding its feet, knowing what it stands for, what it's got to jettison, and particularly what of the Liberal agenda it should oppose and how.
No, look, I think that's fair. And to be fair to Albo, he's caught between positions that we've articulated strongly in opposition to various policies, and now having to make a decision about whether we would just oppose everything because that was opposition for the last election. I've lived through this. I've gone from opposition to government, from government to opposition. This is a really, really tough time. You've got to find the right balance. I think Albo's trying. I think the party is shell-shocked. I think
everyone's had their stuffing knocked out of them.
The morale is very low, and Albo's got to try and lead the team through some difficult choices. So I think we're going to see a few missteps. So I don't think
but he hasn't seized it and said, right, this is where I'm going to go.
No, but I think it's a little bit early. He wasn't expecting to be leader of the opposition either. He was expecting to be Minister for Infrastructure. So I think we need to give him more than just a couple of parliamentary weeks if we're going to be fair.
Look,
to allow him to reset the agenda.
I'm hearing what Steve says, but on the other hand, I do know that Albanese's been tasting the leadership thing, thinking about it, dreaming of it for many, many years. You know, if I was suddenly made Prime Minister tomorrow, don't freak people, it's not going to happen. I think I'd know exactly the kind of thing I want to do straight away, and I haven't been in a position of thinking about it.
We might find us at your seat, Andrew.
Thank you, mate.
The poll we're a bit wary of.
There's a Senate position going right now.
Over Scott Morrison's body, I think.
Come on, Liberal powerbroker.
You know, we're nervous about polls for all the reasons we know, but what do we know since the election? We know that Scott Morrison continues to talk to the working middle class, which is why he's doing very well. I agree with you on Albo. I'm surprised Albanese is in such a quagmire. I don't think you're right. He's got no firm footing. Perhaps this is because, Andrew, he's basically a leader from the hard left of the Labor Party and knows that the positions that he wants to advocate, which are all these tax increases that Shorten went for, which are all the left views on foreign policy and climate change, global warming, etc., all the left agenda, that's actually Albo's turf. But he knows he can't talk about it, so it leaves him nowhere. He's a man... He's a man on a road to nowhere at the minute.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying on that. But, Steve, this is what I think. When you're of the opposite side to where you need to go, you're a left needing to take the party right or vice versa, that gives you actually a huge advantage. It's Nixon to China stuff. You can take the left with you. They'll trust you more if you're going to move to the right. That's the opportunity he hasn't yet seized.
Well, I think, you're both looking at a news poll which I think actually showed Labor winning, because if news poll can be 4 points wrong on Labor's primary 10 weeks ago and nearly 4 points wrong on Liberal primary, I think that poll...
You got me.
You got me there.
So I'd hate to be Simon Benson, to be fair to poor Simon. He's got to try and write a story around the rubbish. I mean, Briggs has got to fess up properly. That's the head of news poll and the polling company. But more importantly, he's got to say what changes he's made. Until he actually says, we have changed the way we do the sampling, we accept we got it catastrophically wrong. So until he does that, until he comes clean and says, look, we've adopted a new methodology, I don't think you can write
maybe
too many
but my gut feeling is that this feels
is Morrison
right.
travelling well? Unquestionably, and is Albo having a tough time trying to take the party from the transition to where it needs to be competitive in the next election? Yes, I think they're fair observations.
Bill Shorten's been very quiet.
He has, but, you know, I'm not going to make any single criticism of him. What he's gone through is the living hell. I would not want to be in his position. That's
we
just...
should let them both.
He's not in the Parliament.
That's traumatising.
on the front bench, isn't
We should let them both just
Isn't
find their
Shorten-
feet.
I take
Isn't
pity on
Shorten the
some...
front bencher?
He is.
Very quiet.
He is very quiet. Yeah, but I think Albanese's learning it's not that hard.
Not that easy at the top.
Not that easy when you actually have to do it. Everyone criticised Shorten, but I think underestimated what he did do.